Time magazine revealed the cover of their 2021 issue of the world's most influential people, and it featured Harry and Meghan. Whether or not you consider them to be influential icons, we cannot escape the fact that this cover made waves on the internet. Just maybe for the wrong reasons, because a lot of people found it strange or just plain ridiculous. Well, I already made memes about this cover on my Twitter and Instagram accounts, but for this video I wanted to give it a serious analysis and show you why looking at it feels so weird. We are going to look at the symbols used, what is Photoshop and what is not, and most important, how can we fix it with the right symbols so you can learn to use them for your own photographs. Welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and it will be great if you join us by just liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that bell. Let's get down to it. The first thing that strikes you about this image is that we are not used to perceive them as being the same size because they're not. Harry is way taller and wider than Meghan, and in this case the image implies that they share the same height. In fact, they went so far as to literally shrink Harry's head with Photoshop so they would match, and that's anatomically impossible. To confirm that he got his head shrunk, I got this other picture from Time Magazine's own photo shoot for this. In this photo, Harry and Meghan are side to side so you can see the actual difference in head size. If we use Meghan's features as a guide on both photos, if we adapt the size of the control image to the cover photo, you'll notice that Harry's face was shrunk for the cover. There's a slight offset of the eyes and his hairline. And it was not only this image, there's also this other photo where you can see the obvious difference in heads, and it also confirms the cover head shrinking. So now we know that there was image doctoring involved. But then the question arises, why make Harry look smaller so they can be perceived as the same size? And he's apparently sitting, but his left leg is nowhere to be found. And it seems like there's no space for it to exist. Now let's be honest, whoever did this, the intention was not to show them as equals, but in fact present Meghan as larger. And it's easier to spot if we take a look at the area that both of them hold on the frame. And we separate those areas, you see that Meghan's body was almost double the presence of Harry's. That is reinforced by the fact of the high contrast of she wearing white and he wearing black against a rather dark background. She's popping to the front and he's blending towards the back. The colors that they chose to wear are pretty much standard for a couple. She's wearing white, that is a symbol of purity and being sincere, and that's the image that she wants to project. And he's wearing black, that is a very masculine color, so that's nothing out of the ordinary in itself. And speaking of symbols, you remember in art class when you had to synthesize images in geometric shapes. And it's very easy to spot that Meghan forms a triangle with her head, her hair, and her arms. And no, it doesn't have anything to do with the Illuminati. A triangle is a symbol of ascension, and combined with the fact that you can see both of her legs, it's like she's standing solid, like pillars for that triangle. You add her wearing white, and that's the message that she wants to convey, of her rising, ethereal. But for Harry, it's a different story. We already see that he's blending with the background that is like a forest, like nature. By the way, using a natural background is on purpose, so that quality, being natural and authentic, is related to them, even if there is nothing natural about this photoshopping. But anyway, you can see only one of Harry's legs, so he is presented unbalanced. He also shows a triangle that is drawn with his flexed arm, but in this case is pointing downwards. So Harry's symbols are perceived as down to earth and a bit unbalanced. I guess that the intention of whoever produced this picture was to downgrade Harry from this monarchy past and elevate Meghan at the same time. But before we find out why this was a big mistake, we have to talk about their main problem, that is their body language. Meghan is absolutely upfront, dominating the cover space. That's great, an empowered woman. Harry is behind her, and that's usually the setup to take a picture of a man and a woman because the man is usually taller than her. But Harry's body language is not one of protection, it's more like he's hiding behind Meghan. There's no smile in his face and he's hunched over her. And to be clear, a man pictured behind his woman is not being submissive per se. In fact, some of the cheesiest male-dominant photos, tropes, and illustrations use this format. Out of the top of my head, here's one Flash Gordon illustration from legendary artist Boris Vallejo that is a good example. The man is taller and is behind the woman, but his left hand implies that he's trying to protect her. He's drawing her body close to his. Some have mentioned Megan's stance of opening her legs, like in the other picture I already mentioned, and that's a symbol of power. You can spot in the Vallejo illustration that they both have their legs separated the same distance. So even if the man is willing to protect her, that's a sign that she can kick ass when the time comes. The difference with this man and woman tropes is that the man is not hiding behind her. The feeling is more of a blend between protection and possession. In one way or another, the man's hands imply that it's his wife or partner. But it's important to notice that Harry's left hand is not on Megan's waist. In fact, it's nowhere to be found. I mentioned that the intention of the photographer was to downgrade Harry by using symbols and even shrinking his head and picturing Megan as a rising element. And I understand that Megan's main activism is women empowerment. That's one of the main initiatives of Archewell Foundation, and I absolutely support that message. The problem is how you picture that message in this cover. I must say that if Megan had come to me and asked, Jesus, how can I represent women empowerment with a photograph? I would have suggested exactly the same symbols that she's using. Well, maybe the hair extensions are a bit overkill, but still. All those symbols are a great way of conveying the women empowerment message. But the problem is when you add Harry to the mix. You are using symbols to bring the male presence down, to literally shrink it, to make him look afraid and fearful. And that kind of tropes and symbols are only used by feminists of the frustrated and toxic kind. For them, it seems that women can only rise if they emasculate us. That doesn't make any sense because you're bringing your own message down. You're implying that for women to rise, you have to do something about men. So in the end, you still depend on something that has to do with us so you can rise. And that's garbage. Women can rise on their own without the need to bring men down. Women and men are yin and yang. Each one of us got our own mix of masculinity and femininity. We got a beautiful mix of both traits. This cover is not a good message. The symbols used imply that for women to rise, men shall be brought down. You can imagine that at some point Meghan and Harry were shown this image and they both were okay with it, so that single fact reveals a lot about them individually and as a couple. Now, you might ask, could you have done better, body language guy? Yes, I could. And in fact, I did. Using that other picture, I just swapped them to portray a powerful couple with their natural facial expressions and their natural height difference. This picture works so much better because you showcase their unique personalities, embrace their differences, and that's what makes the dynamics between men and women so beautiful. Bringing down men implies that both men and women live in the same box, and nothing could be further from the truth. We are yin and yang, and each one with our unique mix, and when we bond together emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, we are unstoppable. By the way, if you want to refine your observation skills, don't forget to download my 100 body language tips in the description of this video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell if you don't want to miss any of my body language analysis and tips. Take care, my body language buddies.